Hello, welcome back to the lesson of VBA and Microsoft Excel. So in the previous lesson we learned about recording macros, auto macros, and secondly we learned about and manual code. So let's start off with opening up VBA right beside this, or what you can do is also minimizing your Excel interface and so that you can see that the macro is working on like overlaying your commands. So first off, what we're going to do is just go to developer mode, and now what we're going to do first is just select the cell. Now you can see that there is record macro and use relative reference. So we're not going to use relative reference because we don't need relative reference for this process. Instead, what we're going to do is use absolute reference and then record a macro. But we were done with macros in the previous lessons, or the previous part, which we did for the first hour. Now we're just gonna go and start with the basics of Visual Basic. Now what we're gonna do is just run VBA right beside Excel, or we can just minimize it, just like I said. I prefer minimizing the Excel interface so that you can see all the works which are going on right beside your Excel works. Now as you can see that there are 5 sheets opened up right in this Excel XC file, and now you can see that there are no modules available or done in this project. As you can see that this is the project interface and this is properties interface, and now this is the coding interface where all of your coding or all of your modules will appear right over here, and now you can also edit them. So let's start off by selecting the text or the data fields. Okay, to select a data field, what we're going to do is just go on this corner and just select any of them. Before that, what we're going to do is select record macro and absolute cell reference before even selecting relative reference, so that your data does not move anywhere or migrate anywhere. So what we're going to do first is just select on record macro. Just gonna do the same as we did in the last lesson. I'm gonna use Control+H and bind them together so that none of the other commands are overlaid by this command. And H seems like the most common to me, and I've been using it for like the whole lesson and the whole course. So I'm just gonna use Control+H, or you can also use Control+Shift+H so that you don't overlay any of the other default commands in Microsoft Excel. So as we started our recording, what we're going to do is just press any of them and then just press OK. Now what we're going to do is just select all of them. Now as we did the fonts, so we're just going to stick to fonts. We used consoles in the previous module or the previous lesson. We're going to change it to an example Century Gothic, or maybe even Schiller, or whatever font you want, or even you can also change whichever format you want to do it to. So what we're going to do is just, for this lesson, I'm just going to stick to fonts and just let me type in Constantia, my bad, Constantia. And now what we're going to do is just go to developer mode again, and then what we're going to do is just stop recording, because if you still keep on recording, your recording will still be the same unless you take another step. But I prefer like stopping the recording because you don't make any other formats or any other steps so that you can record. Or even if you want to like do a lot of steps and record each and every macro of them, each and every code in a computer language, you can also do that. So just stop recording, and now you can see that the recording is done, and you can see in the VBA interface this modules folder opens up, just like I showed you in the previous lesson. Just open this up, and now you can see that this macro contains like a lot of data. Now as I told you, these punctuation are commentings, macro 1 macro, keyboard shortcut which was Control+H. These are just commenting. You can just add in any of the data so that you remember, or you get to know what they are used for and the binds. So you can also see that I talked about these commands in the previous lesson. So you know that these are quite unnecessary, but these are important, which is like the name, size, and selection of fonts, but width and end width are not important. So what we're gonna do is, in the previous lesson we just cut all of them, but if you don't want to take any risks, you can also do is just add in one of the quotations, and you will get to see that if it actually works. Commenting, I'm gonna do it for all of them. Don't use double quotation because double quotation might cause a bit of a problem, because double quotation is mostly used when you're using functions. Okay, so as you see that all of them are now green, but except for the size, what we're gonna do is just cut them. So I'll just use delete, and now just put another quotation here, and now you can see that all of them are done. Now with selection of font, or selection dot font, which is like also one of the command, but this is quite unnecessary for you to use in your daily life and while using filtering, or maybe like doing Excel or using VBA. What we're gonna do is just add in one of the quotation to see if it is actually important or not. So in the next step, what we're gonna do is, after you stop recording, it's like totally done. And now what I'm gonna do is just select all of the data again and make another macro, okay? So that we can see the difference and if it's still working. So what we're gonna do next is just go to developer mode again and do the same steps. Think of it as a practice. So what we're gonna do is click on record macro, macro 2, control plus J for this time. Now what I'm gonna do is press on OK. Select all of them at once, and then you can see on the right side that all of the codes or all of the commands has been or is being placed as computer codes. So just go to home again. Now what we're gonna do is align them. As it is aligned at the center, what we're gonna do is align them at the left side. Now they're aligned to the left, and now what we're gonna do is add in bold and italic. Now you can see all of them, or all of the formats, have also been saved as a macro. Now what we're gonna do is go to developer and stop recording so we don't face any problem. Now as it is done, you can see that same type of data has been placed. So what we're going to do is just add in some double quotations which are not needed. False, which you see false are not important, to be honest. Now what we're going to do is add in them, and width, we don't need that. Excel bottom, with selection, all of them remains right over here. But what we're going to do is just go to sub macro 1. So just go here and then just paste in, or just play it from here, and you can see that there are some problems which we found in this macro. So what we're gonna do is just, you can see that I also like added a double quotation in Constania. So what we're gonna do is just delete. So this is how you can literally find out what problem there is with it. So you can see that all of them are 0. Now what we're going to do is just go here, sub macro, and play them. Now you can see that there are more problems going on over here, which is sub macro 1 and macro 1, and keyboard shortcut, which is control plus H. Now what we're going to do is just click on any one of them, and what we're going to do is just play it from here. Use play, and you can see that this problem has been caused. Oh, my bad. You have to select the text or select the data field first. So macro 1. As you're done with it, just play. If you see this error opens up, you can see that expected end width, okay, which is end width has a problem with it because we added in a quotation, and now it's done. Now you can also do the same thing over here, which is I also added it over here. What I'm going to do is just delete the quotation and you will be done for. Now what I'm going to do is just go here, and then you can see that this is done. If you see another problem, you will see that there might be another problem or another error, but as you can see that after I did that, it changed back to this font Constantia. Now if I want to use the macro 2 again, what I'm going to do is just take your cursor to the first of sub, which I will explain it to you a bit later. So I'm going to do is just play it from here again, macro 2. Now you can see that all of them are done. Now I'm going to play it from here. You can see that the difference has been made, and so this is how you use, or just what I'm gonna do is either I'll press Ctrl plus H or Ctrl plus J, whichever one you want and whichever one you feel like it's comfortable. Just do it however you want to, and practice some of the steps and commands so that you don't face any problems, because after doing it for a couple of times you will get quite used to it. So now let's move on to the next lesson. Another thing which we're gonna do right now is editing your macro. In the previous lesson I've also shown you like a basic of it, but you can also change the formatting from VBA. So as you can see that there is font 14, so what we're going to do is change the font from 14 to 16 and then run it. You will see that all the modification has been made right in Excel. If I want to change it to 18, you can also do it. Just press on 18 and then just play it. Now if it's false, subscript, just type in true. After you type in true and change the data, just press play and you will see that the difference will be made. But what we're gonna do is remove the quotation mark. So as it's done, just play it and you can see that those are now smaller and in the form of subscripts. If you want shadow, you can also do that. Just add in the data, which is true. You have to remember that in computer language they only understand true, false, 0 and 1, which are the binary basic codes. So just play it and you can see that there is some shadows in all of them. Just go to macro or VBA again, and then what we're gonna do is just add in a strike through in each and every one of them. So what we're gonna do is add in true. Now just play it. Just remove the quotation mark and then play it. And now you can see that all of them have a strike through in each and every one of the data. So this is how you're gonna edit. If you want to edit like even a specific cell's data, you can also do it. And even if you want to change the font, which I've shown you in the previous lesson, let me show it to you again. Let's just get another one. Let it be Cambria. Okay, what I'm going to do is just go to VBA and type in Cambria and just play it. You can see that the changes have been made. So now let's move on to the next lesson.